The Sahara begins with silence. Not the gentle quiet of dawn, nor the muted calm of distant mountains. But a vast and ancient stillness that swallows thought and breath alike. It rolls out beneath an empty sky, an ocean inverted, where waves are made of sand and wind is the only tide. In the first light of morning, the dunes glow like embers, their ridges sharpened by night's cool hand. Heat has not yet woken, but already it waits, coiled beneath the horizon. Here, the land stretches for nearly 9 million square kilometers, a continent within a continent. Older than many of the civilizations that would one day cross it. Once, long ago, these endless sands were grasslands and lakes, home to hippos and crocodiles. Now they move like living creatures, sculpted by winds that travel thousands of kilometers, carrying with them the stories of vanished rivers and dried-out deltas. Every dune is a memory reshaped by time. As the sun rises higher, the desert changes character. Shadows dissolve. The sand erupts in color: gold, copper, pale white, sometimes red, like rusted fire. Heat begins to shimmer in layers, bending distance and blurring the horizon, until nothing seems real. Mountains float, valleys ripple. Travelers lose themselves in mirages that gleam like water and vanish like smoke. In this furnace of air, The thermometer is only a suggestion. The Sahara is not defined by its numbers, but by the weight of its heat, a force that presses against skin, cloth and bone. Among the great seas of dunes lies the Grand Erg Oriental, a labyrinth of towering formations that seem frozen mid-wave. Climbing one feels like walking up the back of a sleeping giant. Sand slips underfoot, warm as breath, granular as powdered glass. And when we reach the summit, the world expands. Line after line of dunes fold into one another until they dissolve in the glare of the day. There is no boundary, no edge, only repetition and rhythm, wind and light. Sculpting a landscape that has no need for permanence. Yet the Sahara is not only sand. It hides mountain ranges forged by ancient tectonic violence. The Tibesti, the Hoggar, the Aer. Fortresses of black volcanic rock rising from the plains like forgotten citadels. In the heart of the Tibesti, Mount Emikusi climbs more than 3 kilometers into the sky, crowned with calderas, fumaroles, and the memory of fire. Here, the desert reveals its other face, not the softness of dunes, but the hard geometry of stone, shaped by lava, uplift, and deep earth forces. Wind whistles along the ridges, carrying grains of sand that carve rock surfaces like patient chisels. Between these mountains lie the Great Depressions, basins where life clings to the rarest resource, water. In hidden pockets, oases appear like miracles. Palms rise from the desert floor, their fronds trembling above pools of groundwater fed by aquifers thousands of years old. Around them, narrow gardens unfurl in green ribbons. Dates, figs, small vegetables, coaxed from soil through generations of knowledge. People live here in defiance of climate, bound to the fragile balance between abundance and disappearance. When the wind blows hard, sand buries paths, walls, even fields. But each morning, hands dig them free again, repeating gestures older than history. The Sahara was never empty, not truly. For thousands of years, caravans traced invisible routes across its immensity, guided by stars and intuition. Camels, their feet soft on the hot sand, carried salt blocks from northern mines to central markets and returned with gold, ivory, and stories. These journeys could last months. Nights were navigated by constellations that hung low and clear, unbroken by haze or cloud. Days were endured under the merciless sun, where travellers covered their faces in indigo cloth that turned sweat into streaks of colour. Even now, remnants of these paths remain. A few markers, a few wells, and the silent footprints of those who crossed before. Rock art rests on cliff faces, painted herds, antelope, pastoral scenes carved when the Sahara was still green. They are reminders that deserts are not static. They shift with the planet's pulse. Some figures stand as if waiting for the rains to return, gazing into the emptiness with patient eyes. Their presence is humbling. They saw the land change once. They may have wondered why. And now their images watch from the shadows of caves as another change, quieter but relentless, sweeps across the region through rising temperatures and advancing dunes. But life endures in ways that seem improbable. The fennec fox, with ears shaped like delicate sails, listens for insects beneath the sand. addax antelope, pale as bleached bone, steps lightly across gravel plains, surviving on little water and long instinct. Desert monitors slip between rocks, their tongues tasting the air for hidden prey. At night, when heat releases its grip, the land comes alive with movement. Moths, beetles, small mammals. Creatures adapted to rhythm rather than comfort. Across the western Sahara, the Atlantic breathes moisture into the desert's edge. Fog sweeps inland, clinging to cliffs and nourishing rare lichens. In Mauritania, the Richat structure, a vast circular formation, unfurls like an ancient fingerprint pressed into the earth. Its spiraling layers of rock stretch nearly 40 kilometers across. From above, it resembles the eye of the desert, silent and watchful, a geological wonder whose origins lie in uplift, erosion, and the slow unraveling of deep time. In the center of the Sahara, the Tenere spreads out like a pure abstraction. No oases break the horizon, no hills interrupt the flow. Only sand, light, and a wind that whispers across ridges like a memory repeating itself. A single tree once stood here, the tree of Tenere, considered the loneliest tree on earth. For hundreds of kilometers, nothing lived around it, yet it survived on roots that reached impossibly deep into the ground. It became a beacon for travelers until the day it finally fell, leaving behind only a metal sculpture in its place. Even that, in time, may be swallowed by sand. Human culture bends, but does not break under the desert's rule. Tuareg nomads guide caravans with knowledge inherited across generations, reading the land by its patterns. How dunes align with prevailing winds, how the color of sand shifts with distance. How the desert itself speaks in signs. Their indigo garments stain the air as they move, their camels stepping with an ease born from centuries of interdependence. Around fires at night, stories rise into star-filled darkness, telling of ancestors, journeys, and spirits that wander the dunes. Meanwhile, in towns built at the desert's edge, Tamanrasset, Agadez, Ghat, markets hum with activity. Leatherwork, silver jewelry, spices, desert blues sung with voices that carry the weight of heat and time. These places feel like thresholds where the Sahara pauses, allowing life to gather before it stretches outward again into solitude. As the day reaches its peak, heat lashes the dunes. Air vibrates, shadows vanish. Even the wind slows, as if respecting the authority of the sun. In this hour, the Sahara earns its reputation as the hottest place on Earth, not always in temperature, but in feeling, in intensity. In the sheer magnitude of its solar dominion, it becomes overwhelming, almost absolute. And yet there is beauty even in this fury. The glitter of quartz grains, the rippling of sand like silk, the hum of distant windstorms rolling across invisible plains. But then, slowly, afternoon softens, colors deepen. The sky shifts from white to gold to burned orange. Dunes lengthen into long, graceful silhouettes. The desert cools, exhales, and reveals its second personality. Gentle, contemplative, strangely forgiving. Night approaches without haste. Stars appear one by one with startling clarity, as if the sky has been washed clean. In this darkness, the Sahara becomes intimate in a way daylight never allows. Firelight flickers, stories unfold. The desert feels infinite, but also close, listening. And in this quiet, one understands why people return to such a harsh place. Not for comfort, nor for beauty alone, but for perspective. In the Sahara, human time shrinks. The dunes move, but slowly. The rocks endure for millennia. The sky watches without judgment. Here we are reminded that everything passes. Heat, storms, nations, even the desert itself, which was once green and may be green again long after we are gone. As dawn approaches, a faint line of blue breaks the edge of the world. The dunes blush with the promise of another day. Wind etches new patterns on their slopes. the Sahara begins again, vast and indifferent, ancient and ever-changing. A place where silence holds the memory of water and heat writes its story across the sands. And as we drift away from this immense landscape, one truth lingers. In the emptiness of the Sahara, the world feels impossibly large, and we, for a moment, feel small in the best possible way, reminded of how precious, fragile and fleeting our place on earth truly is.